So, what was it about Brandon that made him so effective even in spite of the conditions?
Oh, Braden?
Braden, I'm sorry.
Braden, he just works extremely hard, just like Rick does, just like Jake does, just like everybody on this team. I mean, he's out there, we almost have to save him from himself, but he works so hard to be in the right position, and, he just kind of sunk down to his level of fundamentals, and he did a heck of a job for us to give our opportunity to go cover and flip the field, especially in that first half. So Braden's been, he strives to get better every day in this building. I mean, he's in here late, getting his body right. So we're very proud of what Braden did, and we're going to keep that going, for the remainder of the year.
Jake said that that the 59-yarder was a little bit out of the range that you guys had discussed pregame. What was the actual range, and what went into the decision to have him kick it?
The range is usually when Coach Sirianni says, you think you can get it? And we have full confidence in Jake getting it down for the most part. Obviously, in that situation, things always change, especially special teams, it's never black and white. There's always a gray area. You always try to play within the game, and, a 59-yarder in those conditions, there's not much not like we had another option to do on fourth and whatever in that situation. But Jake, he's talked about it since the end of the game. Does an unbelievable job preparing himself. You all heard he wants, he thrives in those conditions, in that situation. He wants that last kick, which you can't ask more for a kicker to go out there and do. And, it was a really good job on the operation. And it always starts with Rick. Wet, sloppy conditions like that. He gave Braden a good ball where he could handle Braden, put that ball down on the spot, and when Jake kicks it, you could hear it on the sideline. He put a good effort in that one, and he played it correctly, and it went through and gave us an opportunity to play another 10 minutes of football. And for us, fortunately, the defense held it to 3, and Jalen does what Jalen does and got in the end zone. So very fortunate in that, but it all just sinks down to all of our fundamentals we go through OTAs all the way up to this point.
Jake talked about the degree of difficulty on that kick. What impressed you most about it?
The kick just in general really impresses you more than anything else. But no, Lincoln Financial, it's a tough stadium to kick in regardless of if it's raining. Fortunate for us, I think the wind kind of shifted halfway through the third quarter, and he kind of felt that in his face on one of those kicks. And he's like, man, this wind, because it was a northeast wind for the majority of the game, then it kind of flipped on us. And fortunate for us, that helped us give a little bit more wind. And there's certain, keys in Lincoln Financial that'll tell you what the wind's doing more than, what the flags on the post are doing. So that's kind of a home field advantage. And, it's just an opportunity for us to say, hey, all right, you got a little wind, don't overcompensate for it, let it travel where it's going to go. And he did a great job. He understood where he wanted to go. They hit that timeout. He went into the net. He never changed his process, what he usually does, regardless if it's a 42-yarder or a 59-yarder. So being able to be comfortable in those settings really kind of helps, ease the jitters or the adrenaline going into that kick.
What are some of those keys?
What some of those what? I'm sorry? Keys for in terms of
The win.
The win? I can't let you guys know that because everybody else will know that.
Hey, Michael, I just asked Sean Desai this question. Reed Blankenship played 95 snaps on defense every rep, played 21 on special teams. What goes into a guy being able to handle that kind of workload? What did you see from him on his reps on teams?
I can't speak enough great things about Reed Blankenship. Going into the game, we weren't anticipating him playing all those special teams plays, but talking to him on Saturday night saying, hey, you may have to play these. He didn't bat an eye. He was ready to go. Every time we were getting ready to get on the field, told him what the call was, shook his head, he was ready to go. And that just shows the determination that Reed Blankenship has. It shows the level of endurance he has to play at such a high level, not just on defense, but also on punt and on kickoff. I mean, he's our captain of our punt team. And to go out there, get the calls right, be able to strike in protection, then go out and cover, then get ready to go play downs. I mean, it's just something that you're in awe of as a coach, and the amount of respect you have for a guy that's going to play 120 plays in the NFL. I mean, you don't even hear that in college at times, but him to go out there and play at that such high level, you just have nothing but respect for him. And, it will definitely be acknowledged when these guys get back in tomorrow. And, it also sets a precedence for the younger guys. Like, that's the type of sacrifice and want to you got to have to play in this league, and it's shown for Reed, and hopefully it pays off for him later down the line in his career.
Rewinding to the kick a little bit, Michael, Jake had mentioned it had to be a little bit lower, more of a line drive. Is there any talk from you to alert the guys, or is that kind of understood that when we're going this deep, it's, the guys up front because he's got to kick it lower?
No, I don't think the flight trajectory really affects what the O-line have to think of. My thought process for the offensive line is totally different from what the specialists. My thought process for them is we got to be ready for any type of movement. You never want to be the guy that, flinches a little bit, and now we're backed up even further in that situation. So it's them just sinking down, hey, we have these set rules. We stay to these rules regardless of what happens. If you feel something, we know what to do in this situation. So for the O-line, it's a completely different conversation than what Jake is. I have full trust Jake knows what he's going to do and on that kick. So, but for the O-line, we have these set rules where we're going to stay on. And this is the film we talk about what they like to do in these long field goal situations. Let's hone in on this. And the offensive line has done a great job. I know Jake has talked about it. He never really feels any pressure because those guys do an unbelievable job studying the film, doing it during practice, and performing at the game.
Michael, have you ever had a punt returner where you're more comfortable that he's going to make the right decision?
Darren Sproles.
He was a great one.
Britton Covey's really good. Really good. He takes command of that punt return team. And the best thing about it is the 10 guys in front of him, they know what he can do back there, and they're gonna play as hard as they possibly can for Britton Covey. I mean, after the game, we were talking to OZ, congratulating him on a great touchdown catch, and the only thing he wanted to talk about is, man, I could have stayed on my block a little bit longer to spring Covey. And that's just, what this whole organization's all about. Everybody connecting, being for one another out there on the playing field, because they know they could change the game with the field position. They could change the energy within the stadium, especially at home. We have probably the best fans in the world when it comes to a home game, to get out there and, everyone feels that energy. You even felt the energy, a couple weeks ago in Kansas City when Covey ripped off that 26-yarder. You just feel it, and, the offense feels it, and it's just really cool to see. But there's a lot of things we could still get better at from a punt return standpoint to keep grinding away and changing the field position for our offense.
Feeling he's close to breaking one?
The feeling thing for punt return is, I don't know if you go into the things like, oh, we're really going to get one right here, because the opposing team, they get paid to go stop returners like Britton Covey. So it's one of those things we're just going to play one play at a time. Regardless of the call, we're going to play one play at a time. We're going to try and play as penalty-free as we possibly can to help this team. Because at the end of the day, my job here is to help the team in any capacity from a special team standpoint.
I'm sure you saw Nick's quote yesterday that Covey's the best returner in the league. What's your pitch for why that's the case?
My pitch for what's that case? I don't think I have to make a pitch. For the last, since week 13 of last year, Covey's been up there, top 3 punt returner in the NFL in terms of yardage. But again, I try not to get involved in all that stuff because my sole focus is getting a game plan ready for these guys to perform against San Francisco. San Francisco's a very good team. Brian Schneider's always had a really good special teams unit, but I'm not going to take away from what Britton Covey's done over the last year and a half. He's done some really amazing things in terms of understanding what the punt coverage team's doing, what the punter's doing, and our punt return team, especially on the outside, has done a really good job to allow Covey freedom to get down the field and make some plays.
Michael, one thing about Covey is we never see him get clobbered like he did last year. Like I think he called himself like the human punching bag last year. We don't see those shots nearly as much. Is that kind of his vision, his decisiveness, better understanding of where the defenders are? What accounts for that?
Never heard himself called the human punching bag. God, it's just a self-deprecating special teams unit out there. For Covey, it's funny having these conversations with him because we're all realists in this room. Like, he looks like he's a car crash dummy. But at times when he talks about it, he's like, I don't feel like I get hit very much. I'm just 170 pounds at 5'9". But he has done a really good job of preserving himself, like towards the sideline. All right, I know what I can't get anymore. Let me save a hit off myself right here. I understand if I see 2, I split 2, they can't hit me full frontal. They hit me on the side. It's not as impactful. And that's just, getting used to the speed of the NFL. You get into the speed, so second year, you're going to get better at anything you do the more time you have into it. But I think Covey's done an unbelievable job regardless of, avoiding those big hits, but it also goes down to our punt return team staying on blocks longer where he's not taking those huge car crash hits.
Couple more, please, couple more.
First block, how clutch was that for you? And is that something you saw from his college tape that he can do that and everything?
With our field goal block team, it's been really a tone setter for the rest of our units. Because if you keep watching our field goal block unit, they are a physical bunch, and it has to do a lot with, Tracy Rocker does a great job and shows it to the guys later in the week of, are we really getting off the ball? Are we really making this team pay for points? It's an opportunity to, one, keep points off the board, or, get a little anger off. They just scored or they're in scoring field position. This is an opportunity to flip the switch and, be a game changer. And Jalen did a heck of a job. If you really watch that first one, the 48-yarder off the left hash, as we face it, he came pretty close to blocking that first one. And it's just that self-confidence, like, all right, I got a good feeling for this. And, nothing to take away from Jalen Carter, but Jordan Davis did a heck of a job of splitting the B gap between the guard and tackle. And it allows Jalen to get 1, 2, 3 hands up. And he's able, he's a true athlete. He like windmills from a 2 points, standing still dunk, but getting up there, put his hands up on a lower kick, especially the weather gets a little bit colder. I mean, it's kudos to him, but it's that whole field goal block unit having that mentality of like, all right, we're going to make them pay for points, or they're going to be worried when we get down there in our 3-point stance. Like, they got to be ready for that. But that's, again, it comes from the top, and, BG did a heck of a job on that field goal block team being that unit leader.
Jalen Jordan are obviously two high-profile first-round picks who have big roles on defense. How much do you appreciate how much they put into being good special teamers?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have nothing but respect for all these guys on what they do. Especially, I'll take anybody from a first-round pick to an undrafted guy to help out this team any way possible. But to have them go out there and still give maximum effort after playing so many plays on defenses, I can never have as much respect and them feel as much respect as I possibly can for them, because this is it's a job that takes a lot. It takes a toll on them, physically, but they go out there every week trying to perform at the best they possibly can. So that's all I could ever ask of them, is to give 100% high energy, and I'll try to take care of them as much as I possibly can.
And circling back to Covey, Nick said yesterday that he's constantly asking the coaches, is this guy first team All-Pro? Is this guy Pro Bowl? I imagine you're one of the people he's having those conversations with. What's Nick like in those conversations?
Just like, Nick is Nick. Nick is Nick every day. He just asks. He wants to know. He wants to be informative on what's happening around the league, especially from a special teams unit. He's so focused on the entire team, on the offense, on the defense. He wants to know as well in the special teams unit. So that's where we come in and we try to give him, kind of the Cliff Notes version on what's happening in the NFL, what's happening in the NFC, and just giving him, the factual information. It's one of those things where he sees it on the paper. He could vocalize it in his way he wants to. So that's our job. When he does ask, we have an answer for him and keep pushing forward.
Chris?
We've seen Aaron throwing up like the water bottle trying to simulate rain, and then somebody said like spray Braden's hands and Rick's hands to simulate the rain. Where do you come up with like some of these like unorthodox, somewhat unorthodox methods to try to prepare for things, and what's the most unorthodox thing you've done to try to prepare some of the players?
Yeah, when it comes to rain, you don't want to overbear it and, dump a ball into a tub of water. You try to make it as realistic as possible. So I'll go around and I'll, throw a few droplets on their hands to make them feel, all right, it's a little bit moist. I got to be able to really finish through with my hands as a long snapper. I got to catch it and mold it as a holder. So it's just one of those things that you just learn from guys I learned from, Dave Phipp, Darius Swinton, Richard Hightower, and you just try to, keep it in your bag of tools to, when it does present itself, you're ready for it. And Nick does an unbelievable job of allowing us as coaches and reminding us as coaches, hey, there may be inclement weather on whatever day we're playing with. Let's get these guys ready and prepared so it's not the first time that it happens in the game. They've already done it. So, we always implement that, whether it's on the side or in a period, to get these guys ready. And, again, they do an unbelievable job preparing themselves for those type of conditions.
Nick doesn't, real quick, he doesn't watch the field goals, he admitted. And your signal any more energetic in that type of situation?
It was a point. it was a point and a smile, but I know there was 20 seconds left. I got to get our kickoff team ready because they got to go down and cover because you never know what's going to happen. They could line a guy back 9 yards and be ready to go. So, you know, as energetic that stadium was and such a good feeling for Jake, I still have to complete my job as a special teams coordinator and get those 11 guys ready for kickoff coverage because you never know what's going to happen. So it's a smile and a point. Then I got to turn my focus on the kickoff coverage because there's not a lot of time to celebrate. There's no TV timeout. We're rolling, getting those guys, getting them the call, and making sure they're ready, staying disciplined regardless of the situation, going down and covering.